Relationships to me, though, are my bread and butter. Money cannot buy that. Hey everyone, my name is Tara. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I want to take a few minutes today to talk about the best parts of recovery so far. It's been a long road. I've been in recovery for 2.5 years from substance use and mental health challenges. And I've got to say that I feel much better today, 2.5 years in, than I felt 3 weeks in. Let me tell you what, it's been a wild, wild ride. And there's some key things that I've done in my recovery to get to this point. Without these things, I never would have made it to where I'm at today. So first of all, I want to give a big shout out to my therapists, plural, because without them, there's no way that I would have been able to process everything I've been through. And I'm still a work in progress. I want to be very clear about that. Sobriety has given me the ability to, number one, receive accurate diagnosis. Number two, have the courage to be able to face the diagnosis. And number three, given me the clarity to be able to work on my mental health. When I first got sober, I was actually institutionalized. I was placed in a program by a psychologist who intercepted me. And in this program, I was not able to start therapy until I'd been sober for 3 months. Now, was this helpful? It was actually really challenging to make it to that 3 months. And I thought about leaving the program several times during this 3 months. However, it was worth the wait once I actually got to a therapist. If I could do it all over again, I would probably self-advocate. Not probably. I would absolutely self-advocate. And now I know I could have called my insurance and been connected with a therapist outside of the program that I was in, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I really thought I had to wait that 3 months. So all that being said, I cannot recommend enough engaging with a therapist as soon as possible. In addition, I realize that not everybody has a desire to see a therapist. So if that's you, if that's your jam, then I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm not your boss. For me, though, it has been a critical part of my recovery. Number two on my list is meditation is so much more clear. I can receive guidance better. I can send appreciation out into the world better. I'm clear. It doesn't take me as long to drop into a state of clarity or to drop into a state of, I don't even know what to call it. I need to do some studying, but the state where I'm actually getting visuals and having a light show, essentially, that's happening to me way more often. When I was in my addiction and using drugs regularly, I did have the experience under the influence of seeing visuals. It's a little different now, but the longer that I stay sober, the closer to the under the influence visuals I'm getting. I don't know if it'll ever be the same as before, but I don't really care because I know that my meditation is way more effective now that I'm sober. And I knew when I would engage in substance use, my connection could probably be improved if I could just get sober, but I couldn't, and I wasn't ready until I was. So all that being said, meditation would be my number two. Number three is probably not a surprise whatsoever. I'm taking much better care of myself today than I was capable of doing when I was out there in my addiction. I'm showering regularly. I have a shower. I was living in my car for 5 years when I was out there in my addiction. I'm so thankful that I'm safe. I was about to say I'm so thankful nothing traumatic ever happened. That's not true. A lot of traumatic things happened that I'm still dealing with in therapy. I don't wish it on anybody. I definitely can't recommend going the path that I went. I went to the dentist this week. I'm actually going to do what he tells me to do. I went to the dentist 2 years ago and I was still kind of fried in my thinking and didn't want to have the work done that he recommended. So here I am 2 years later and nothing went away. Thank God I don't need any additional work than what he said, but just another example of how I'm taking better care of myself these days. Number 4, I'm not running away from myself or from my problems anymore. I'm able to face them right on. This ties into the first thing I was talking about with therapy, being able to face the things that have been renting space in my head, for lack of a better phrase. I've spent a lot of time not wanting to deal with the things that needed to be dealt with, letting things go until they got so big I had to deal with them. Today, I'm capable of being proactive and I'm not perfect. There's still a lot of things I'm working on. I need to clean the taillights of my car out. It's been a while and my car has been through some stuff in the past several years and my taillights are pretty dirty right now. They need to be cleaned. I'm not saying I'm perfect because of sobriety. And as a matter of fact, sometimes it's very difficult to cope without falling back into using. But now, 2.5 years in, I don't really want to go back down that route because the energy that I have as a result of not using, I don't have hangovers anymore. I don't fall asleep in the middle of the day because I smoked too much. And I would argue that falling asleep during the middle of the day is running away from my problems. It's not dealing with the things that need to be dealt with because I couldn't. Number 5 is stability. I now live in a place. I was homeless for 7 years, was it? I never actually stopped to think how long I was actually homeless. Hold on a second. 2016 is when I quit to travel, to 2022 is when I finally got a place. So that's 6 years. Okay, 6. I thought it was 7. 6 years. I either lived out of my car or lived in shelters, and it was totally chaotic. It's not to say that I didn't enjoy parts of it. I chose to move into my car to travel, and then that spiraled, and I continued to do it. But there came a point where I didn't want to do it anymore, but I was stuck in that, and I couldn't afford to get out of it. Having a place to live in and being capable of paying rent every month, not feeling like I have to run away to go to the next place, is a really good feeling. I know not everybody watching this has been homeless. Maybe it hasn't got that bad for you, and I commend you. You don't want it to get that bad. I don't want to slip back into that type of behavior ever again. Now, do I still want to travel? Do I still want to explore and adventure? Heck yes. And I plan on doing it. I am focusing on my mental health. As if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm working to overcome some of the things that are holding me back from engaging in the things that I used to enjoy. Right now, though, I'm so thankful that I have a stable place to live. It's my own place. I don't have to share a room with anybody anymore like I did in the shelters. And that feels like an accomplishment. Number 6 is better health overall. I mentioned the dentist earlier. I think that this deserves a separate category, just health overall, because I'm able to attend to it, tied to some of the earlier stuff also, because I'm not running away, my overall health is improving. Do I still have a long ways to go? Well, I don't know if it's long necessarily. Do I have a ways to go? Absolutely, 100%. The way I understand recovery is that it's going to be a lifelong journey. I may get to the point where I consider myself recovered eventually. Is there still going to be work to do? Absolutely. Part of being recovered is that you are helping other people and serving the community. So if I fall out of that, that type of activity is part of what makes me feel healthy. It's part of what is increasing my overall sense of well-being. So without getting into too much detail about service, although I do think that that kind of feeds into the next one actually. Better overall health because I'm attending to things that need to be attended to is absolutely on this list. Finally, I want to talk about number 7, which is improved relationships. And I think that this is the most important thing. I mean, of course, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything at all. Relationships to me, though, are my bread and butter. They are my sustenance. They are how I pull myself out of funks. A few videos ago, I was not doing well and I went public with it. The number one thing that brought me out of that funk was reaching out to people, engaging in conversations, calling people, talking with people. Whether behind the screen, on the phone, in person, the whole gamut was required to pull me out of that. I hope that moving forward, I'm able to recognize when I'm in a depressive episode earlier so that I can start doing the things that help me feel better, which are, obviously self-care, which I'm going to do a whole other video on, and talking with people, building relationships. Some of you know that I started out my early sobriety. I'm still in early sobriety, but my first year in recovery was 12-step heavy. And some of you know that the 10th step in the 12-step process is continuing to take personal inventory. And when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I have been continuing to take personal inventory, and I've become very quick to apologize to people when I did something wrong. I'm not going to blast out what happened just this past week, but somebody that I love with all of my heart, very close to me, in my depressive episode, I snapped at them, and a few days later realized that I needed to apologize because they didn't do anything wrong. It was all me overreacting to a situation that wasn't even a situation. I just wasn't feeling good and I snapped. So my relationships as a result of my recovery, the step work that I did in the 12-step program, and also my work with my therapists has led me to a point where my relationships are getting so much better than they used to be. I'm starting to connect. I do still have some things that I need to work on. I'm not trying to say I'm fixed or that I'm better. Well, I am better. I'm not perfect. I'm still a work in progress. So I can't encourage you enough, if you are in recovery or if you're thinking about getting sober, watching your relationships get better, getting closer with people that you care about is invaluable. Money cannot buy that. And I've got to say that it's been my favorite part. I was about to say it's probably been my favorite part. No, that's my strengthened relationships are absolutely my favorite part about recovery. So that being said, those are the 7 best parts of my recovery so far. I have plans. I've started making moves to grow even further. I am doing some more work to move past the point that I'm at now and incorporate some fun activities into my life to improve my mental health. And speaking of relationships, I'm so excited to get to know you better, to hear your story, to connect with you. That is what brings me so much joy these days. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you next time.